All right, on page 183 is where we're at. Today, just so that you guys know what we're going to do today, your objective is how to write a check. So for those of you who have a checking account, this is not new for you. Okay? For those of you who don't, then you'll learn how to write a check. So on page 183, it says, when you open a checking account at a bank, you deposit checks and currency into the account. Then you can write checks on this account. A check is a paper document directing a bank to deduct money from your checking account and make a payment. Your account must contain as much money as the amount of check you are writing so that you do not overdraw your account. If you overdraw, your account does not have enough funds to pay for the check that you wrote. A return check is sometimes called an overdraft. To write checks, you need to be able to write dollar amounts in word form with decimal portion expressed as a fraction. Okay? So, have you guys ever heard of the term bouncing a check? Same kind of thing as the overdraft, what they were referring to. When you do this, just so that you guys know, it's not free. Yes?
Can I borrow a pencil?
Sure. And then you're going to give it back to me like the one you didn't on Thursday?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, yeah.
Okay. So, when that happens, just so that you guys know, that it's not free. Like you don't get, sometimes they might give you, your bank might give you one freebie, right? That, but realistically what happens is you write that $5 check, it's really like a $30 check because the overdraft fees are like $23, or at least at my bank they are. Okay, so if you bounce a check, and let's say you just wrote that check to McDonald's for lunch, all of a sudden that $7 meal became a $30 meal. All right? And then what happens if it continues to bounce or you continue to bounce checks, then they send you to collections, which is another fee. And if you can't pay it after that, if you've ever looked at the court records, there's people that go or have to go in front of the judge because they have insufficient funds. Okay? Those are things that do happen. All right? That happens to a lot of people. Now, the first thing that you're going to do, though, is you're going to write a check in word form. So they're going to give you a dollar amount, and we have to write that in words. So how would I write $26.55 in words? 26. And don't forget, that is a hyphenated thing, right? Should it be hyphenated when it's 26? Yeah. If it's not, guess what? It's not right. Okay, so make sure you're okay with that. And that's what we put inside there. When you're going to the dollars and cents part, we say 26. And now for as far as the decimal parts, we put it out of 100. So it's 55 out of 100. You do not have to reduce that fraction. We are not reducing that fraction. We're leaving it as 55 out of 100. Yes, Colin?
I've never seen people write it like that. They always write it like in the word form, and then they never put the hyphen or whatever.
Well, they should. Officially, that's how you spell it.
I've always watched people, I filled one out myself, but I've watched people just say $26 and they'll actually spell dollars.
Yeah. And here's why you don't need to put the word dollars on there. If you ever look at a check physically, and I don't even carry the checkbook, but on the line where you write that, at the very end, every check blank says dollars. So you don't actually have to physically write the word dollars on them. Especially when you write checks that are bigger and you have more stuff involved on that line, it's hard to put that in there with the word dollars on there also. But as far as that goes, you do not need to worry the word dollars because of the fact that it's on the check already. People do, you're right, but you don't have to. Okay, that's how they should be spelling it. Here's another thing that you probably don't realize. And this, as a cashier, when I used to do that, it was one of those things where you get so in tune to, there's a little box on a check, and that's usually what you look at to make sure that they got the right amount. However, did you realize that it's actually what you wrote on the line is what comes out of your account? So if you wrote instead of 26 for this one, like let's say you bought pizza and it was $26.55 and you wrote the check for that, but you accidentally put 20 and then didn't put the 6 on there, then out of your account should only be $20 instead of 26. Now, would you want to continue to do that practice though? No, because then what happens? The business comes back on you because you didn't pay them enough. All right, so that's never a good thing. But that's really, this number, when you have that line on a check like that, that is actually what should come out of your account. Not the number that's in the little box. However, that's what most people look at. Then, the next type they're going to have is they're going to give you this. And they want you to write that as a number. So how do I write that as a number? 30.2. Like that? Is everybody okay with that?
How'd you get to 30.2 exactly?
Okay. The 30 comes from this word right there.
Well, yeah.
Okay. And this number right up there, whatever's on top of the 100, that's your decimal.
All right.
Okay. Then after that, just so that you guys know what they're going to do, is they're going to give you some examples of checks, and they're going to ask you questions based off of that. So if you go to page 184, on number 3, it says, to whom is the check payable? So on that particular check that they have listed there, who are they paying? Harry's Hardware is who they're paying, because that's the one where it says pay to the order of the, okay? So like when I went to Marketplace twice this weekend, now I used my debit card, but if I were to write a check, I would have wrote Marketplace Foods on that line, right? Then number 4, how do you write the amount in word form? And the number that they have on there is 165.52. So I want to know in word form how you would write that out. What's the first word that needs to happen? 100. 65. And 52 over 100. Good. Okay. So again, when you're writing those numbers out, and this is why, Colin, you gotta be careful with not putting dollars on there, because now when I get hundreds, or if I write the word 1,000, or if I even have numbers like, if I write a check for $5,257 and some odd cents, putting all that on that little line is pretty tough. But on the back end of every check does say the word dollars. Okay? And it actually, if you look at their example checks that they have on those pages, you see where it says dollars after it? On the, where you write the lines? That's like that on every check. Okay? Number 5, what should be put in the memo portion? Now this is the part down the bottom where the memo sometimes is not filled in and sometimes it is. Okay? Me personally, when I ever write a check, a lot of times I do not put a little memo there. However, I know that when my dad sends a check for something, it's usually a birthday thing, he'll put on there happy birthday, whoever it was. Okay, so he'll put a memo on there. Some people use memos in order to track what they spent their money for. Okay, so for instance, on this particular thing, what should be in the memo portion, what you didn't realize is what Manuel was buying. Maybe Manuel has to save his receipt for something, and maybe he gets reimbursed by his company. So what was he actually buying? He was buying a drill press, right? So in that particular portion of the check, that's something that you could use if you need to save your receipts for something. When I go on trips, like if the school sends me something, I have to save my receipts for when I get food and stuff like that so that I can get reimbursed. So again, that would be where you'd want to put something like that in the memo so that you had record of it. And then as far as who signs it, does Harry's Hardware sign the check? Who signs that check that's on? Who's the name on the account? Yeah. Manuel. Romeo? Manuel? Romeo? Okay? That's who signs it. Harry Zarder would not sign the check, because signing it means that I am authorizing the bank to take that money out of that account. Okay? So when I sign anything, even when I run my debit card, when you sign your name, that's giving that business the authorization to take that money out of your account. Okay? So even with me going to Marketplace and swiping it twice, I had to, well, the one I didn't have to because it was less than $25, but the first one it was, so I had to sign on the thing. Or when you order from Jimmy John's and you have to sign it up. Same thing. What do you guys think about writing checks? Are you guys going to be okay with writing them? Writing the numbers?
Like, not the hundreds, like thousands and twenty. Yeah.
Like that? Okay, so how do I write that? This is number 12, so how do you write that? We need to know what place it goes to, right? So 47,000. And okay, so Colin, here's just one more reason why I don't think you should put dollars on there. If you write a check for thousands of dollars like that, you know, and honestly, who can write checks like that? People that have enough money in their account, right? There's people that I know that could go to the bank right now or go to somewhere and buy a car for $47,983.39 and write a check for it and it's good. They just buy the car outright. Okay? A lot of people around here can do that. But that's how you would write it. Okay? It's going to fill up a lot of space. I think the biggest check I've ever written is in the thousands, not nearly 47,000, but during the flood, I was writing checks for thousands of dollars easily to pay off the people that were doing stuff at my house. Okay? What do you think? Are you guys okay with that? Writing numbers in word form and then vice versa? And then the other ones, you're just going to have to answer questions based off of what was on the check. You're just answering the questions from it. So on this one, on page 183 to 185, we're going 1 to 20, which we've already done 1 through 6 and 12. So we've already done 7 of those problems for you. Okay?